In today's video, I wanted to continue with and finish up my journey through Fallout New Vegas. Last time, I began by making my way to the city of Nipton. There, I encountered Caesar's Legion for the first time. They talked about how domination and power are law when it comes to running the wasteland. After Nipton, I made it to the city of Novak. There, I learned from Manny Vargas that Benny and the Great Khans made their way up to Boulder City. In between that, I traveled to the RepCon facility and helped out the town with its ghoul problem. There, I met Jason Bright and his followers. Through eradicating the Nightkin and fixing the leftover rockets, Jason and his flock freely left the facility. This allowed the townsfolk of Novak to scavenge the site without any more problems. From there, I moved on to Boulder City. After encountering Jessup and the Great Khans, I learned that Benny is now up in New Vegas at the Tops Casino. Before leaving, I helped the NCR remove the Great Khans from the area. This is where the story continues. From Boulder City, the town of Freeside is a decent walk to the northwest. Along the way, I encountered a brand new enemy. They were called Lake Lurks, and they wiped the absolute floor with me. They had this supersonic type of attack that shredded through my HP with each hit. Letting them get up close, their melee attacks weren't much weaker. In a couple of swings, my character would get sliced in half. After a couple of attempts, I thought it best to just let these abominations be. The XP was nice, but I wasn't really prepared for a fight like this. Along the way to Freeside, I ran into Victor again. He and I were both getting pretty close to New Vegas. At the time though, little did I know what exactly his motives were for heading to the strip, as well as for following me around. All would be revealed relatively soon. Wandering past some NCR Ranger camps, as well as Cannibal Johnson's dwelling, I finally arrived at the city of Freeside. For the most part, there wasn't a whole lot going on here. It felt like a space where the rejects, thugs, and gang members spent their time. As I'd soon come to learn, not everyone can get inside of the strip. I myself could barely get inside. Approaching the gate, a stranger stopped me from going any further and gave me a warning.
You look new to Freeside, so here's a little advice, friend. Don't go past the South Gate greeter without talking to it first. Those bots are programmed to vaporize anyone who enters the fenced-in area without authorization from the greeter. The name's Old Ben. I've been living in Freeside since the day I was born. I've done a bit of everything around here. Courier, butcher, crier, escort, gun for hire. Some of which I'm not proud of, but I do my best to help around town when needed. Exactly one of the reasons I got out of that job. Too many shifty characters looking to have someone else move their hot items.
Old Ben was definitely right. As I looked on at the gate, I noticed a Freeside thug make a run for it. Within moments, 5 securitrons descended upon him and blew the guy to bits.
Submit to a credit check, or present your passport before proceeding to the gate. Trespassers will be shot. I'm sorry, but your balance does not meet the minimum balance. Please return when you have sufficient caps or passport.
2,000 caps is no small credit. The upside though is that you don't have to spend the 2,000 caps. You just have to have them in your inventory. So from here, I went to Chet in Goodsprings, as well as Cliff Briscoe in Novak. I dumped every item that I didn't need, as well as a big ticket. The 10mm submachine gun had to go, but it would be well worth it in the end. Traveling back to New Vegas and passing the credit check, I successfully stepped foot onto the strip.
Howdy, partner. You've come for a piece, haven't you? Welcome to New Vegas. The place to get started is Lucky 38. See that big old tower shaped like a roulette spinner? That's where you find Mr. House, New Vegas's head honcho. And he's itching to make your acquaintance. Don't you dawdle, little doggy. Mr. House isn't someone you want to go about snubbing. He'll be waiting.
The strip is very different from the rest of the wasteland. Ron Perlman put it best. It's practically untouched. Here, survival, scavenging, and alliances don't seem all that relevant. Securitrons patrol the streets, NCR Rangers are letting loose, and the other residents don't have a care in the world. The walls are impenetrable, and everyone seems relatively safe. However, if I've learned anything, for the exterior to appear like this, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. that work might not be as glorious and carefree as what's being presented on the streets of New Vegas. Even though Victor wanted me to pop by the Lucky 38 and pay a visit to Mr. House, I needed to deal with Benny first. Everything I've been through has led up to this moment. Finally, I can take my revenge and learn more about this platinum chip. Entering the Tops Casino, I was stopped by a chairman greeter. He welcomed me inside and asked that I surrender my weapons over. That was definitely going to be an issue, especially considering Benny could be anywhere. However, no surrender means no entry, so I had to do what I had to do. Wandering the ground floor, I slipped past all the gamblers and dealers. At the back of the room, I spotted that flashy checkered suit. Benny himself was standing with his entourage, accessible and vulnerable.
What in the goddamn? Let's keep this in the groove, hey? Smooth moves like smooth little babies. I hit what I was aiming for. Guess you had brains to spare. Or you just thick-skulled. Either way, baby, this is good news. Maybe I can finally sleep at night, knowing you didn't die. What say you and me cash out? Go somewheres more private-like. Any questions you got, I'll answer. To start, I'll comp you the presidential. Best suite in the house. You deserve a taste of the VIP lifestyle. I'll hang out down here for a while to make everything look business as usual, then come to you. Any questions you got, I'll answer. Guaranteed. Do what you gotta do, baby, and let the chips fall as they may. You know where to find me. I can't do that, baby, and you know it. There's a lot of angles to this caper, complexities aplenty. But plenty of action, too, enough for both of us. But we don't jabber about that out here in public. Like I said, we should be talking somewheres private. You want a reason? How about 4? They're called bodyguards, and every one of them is packing. Me too, so baby makes 5. Add to that, every chairman in this joint is armed, and not with some holdout pea shooter like maybe you smuggled through security. Anyhow, baby, you didn't come here for vengeance. You came to get clued in. Why would I do that, baby? I want to talk to you as much as you want to talk to me. And you dig this is just first base, right? You and me have a future together, and it's big league and open all night. Here's the key to the Prez. I'll see you there in 2 shakes. Ta-ta.
As much as I wanted to take out Benny right then and there, he had a point. I don't have any weapons, and there's at least 5 NPCs who could fire on me in the blink of an eye. Maybe it's best to play by his rules for now and see where that gets me. Taking the elevator up to the presidential suite, I began to look around. Playing ball with Benny gave me the quest, wildcard, ace in the hole, and I was able to find a pool cue. Not the most glorious weapon, but it'd do for pummeling the guy into the ground. Wandering around the suite, there wasn't much in terms of interesting items. A lot of alcohol, pre-war books, and just basic miscellaneous stuff. After some time had passed, I started to wonder where Benny was. Going back out into the main area, I approached the elevators when all of a sudden, I heard some noise from the intercom.
Baby, this little meet and greet of ours, chalk me up as a no-show. It would be 41 flavors of stupid to let you get a drop on me. And you've caused plenty enough trouble as is. You've forced my hand. Hell, I gotta skip town because of you. A real pain in the caboose. Nowheresville, that's where. Sorry about the double cross. Or are we up to quadruple? But if someone's gonna die, it's you. A lifelong learner is you, eh? Then make your questions count, because your lifelong is running life short. It's the house edge, baby. The key to stacking the odds in his favor. Or was, until I swiped it. There's more to it, but we don't have the time. By which I mean, you don't. Angle? I'm head on, baby. Flat out. All stops pulled, full steam ahead. Side bets are for losers. I'm playing to win. Baby, getting outplayed and getting cheated ain't the same thing. I get it. You're sore. A Crumb's life is painful, full of disappointments. That temper of yours. Kind of why this conversation's taking place over an intercom. Do me a favor and stay dead this time, eh? Good night, all. It's been a gas.
As Benny signs off, the 4 bodyguards from before enter the space. Luckily, they're not packing the same heat, but they're carrying some decent weaponry. 2 of them are firing off their silenced pistols, while the other 2 are coming in with their razors. Fortunately for me, my couriers got a mean swing with that pool cue. A couple of smacks led me to a silenced .22 pistol, and from there, it was curtains for all 4 men. Looting their bodies, I was able to get a hold of the key for the presidential suite, as well as Benny's room key. To be honest, I knew that ambush was coming. I'm pretty sure everyone could see it from a mile away. The thing is though, I felt like my hand was forced. My 2 options were to either try him in the casino or hold out in the presidential suite. With no weapons or help, this was the best choice for my own survival. Heading back down to the casino, everyone there was none the wiser. They went on with their lives like it was business as usual. That worked for me as I now had free access to floor 13 and from there, Benny's suite. The place was a dump. I expected more from a chairman of the Tops Casino. There wasn't anything special about the living room area or his bedroom. As things looked bleak, I managed to catch a lucky break. Behind a closed door, a hole in the wall was revealed. There, I came across this damp, dark room. At its center was a peculiar-looking robot named Yes Man.
Hey! Hi there! Good to meet you. What can I do for you today? This is Benny's workshop. When the Tops got renovated, he had this half of the floor blocked off for his own use. I guess you could say it's my entire world. I don't think I've ever left this room, but that's okay. I'm not complaining. Sure, he came through here in a big hurry. Didn't even stop to say hello. I think he went down his secret escape elevator out in the hall. Sure, Benny had me look at it a bunch of times. It's a data storage device, kind of like a holotape, but a lot more advanced. As for what's on it, well, some of Mr. House's data transmissions made it sound like the chip could upgrade his defenses somehow. That's just a guess, though. The chip's a proprietary format. You need special hardware to read the data on it. There are 2 locations with non-standard hardware on the network. The Lucky 38 and an underground facility at Fortification Hill. I'd look there! Oh, he wants to kill Mr. House and use the Platinum chip to copy my neurocomputational matrix onto the Lucky 38's mainframe. That should give me control over all Mr. House's defenses, most prominently his securitrons. And then I just do what Benny tells me. Easy peasy! Sure, if the chip can be used to reset administrator privileges, it'll be super easy. Then I'd have to help you. I mean, it seems pretty obvious Benny wouldn't want me to, but hey, not my fault I can't say no. Again, goal number 1 is to eliminate Mr. House and install my neurocomputational matrix on the Lucky 38's mainframe. Given how you're a new arrival, I also recommend that you get to know some of the region's tribes, so you can decide how you feel about them. By the time you finished up all of that, the Legion should be close to attacking Hoover Dam, and we'll execute the last phase of the plan. Oh no, I didn't mean that. Who needs their support? The securitrons will be all the support you need. What I meant is, you should get to know these tribes and decide which ones you like and which you don't. You know, shape the future of Vegas. Choose your neighbors. If you like a tribe, leave it alone. Or, if a tribe is nasty, or going to be a problem, go ahead and exterminate it. It's whatever you want to do.
From here, the plot thickens. While Benny's long gone, this is what officially marks the start of New Vegas' endgame territory. The pieces finally start to fall into place. The Platinum chip contains data that could essentially raise an army. Benny wanted it for himself. He wanted to become a big player with the rest of the Mojave's factions. Mr. House, the top dog of the strip, would also like to get his hands on this chip. As for the NCR and Kaiser's Legion, well, let's just say they all want their slice of the pie.
The eyes of the mighty Kaiser are upon you. He admires your accomplishments and bestows upon you the exceptional gift of his mark. Any crimes you may have perpetrated against the Legion are hereby forgiven. Kaiser will not extend this mercy a second time. My lord requires your presence at his camp at Fortification Hill. His mark will guarantee your safe conduct through our lands. Incidentally, it will interest you to know that the man you seek has fled the Strip and is likely making haste for Caesar's camp as we speak. I am the greatest of Caesar's Frumentari. It was not a challenge to find you, nor is this my first visit to the Strip. Go to him, and you will understand. Seek Caesar by way of Cottonwood Cove, south of Nelson. The Cursor Lucullus will be waiting.
Hey, you there. I have a message for you. It's from Ambassador Crocker. Very important. Here you go.
While I've indirectly dealt with the NCR before, I've only ever had one run-in with the Legion, and we didn't really leave off on a good note. However, to make up for that interaction, I now have to travel into the Dragon's Den. I get to meet with the legendary Caesar himself, the man who created a brutal, war-hungry faction that chooses total domination over all else. Now, at this point in New Vegas, I have to start steering my playthrough towards one of 4 main endings. Each ending deals with a main faction, or rather, an alliance. One of those endings has the player aligned with Caesar's Legion. Another one has them working with the NCR. The third has you aiding Mr. House in achieving his dreams for New Vegas, and the last one is an independent ending. The player essentially acts on their own accord. No rulers, overlords, kings, or gods. Just the courier, and technically yes man. At first, I was going to go with the NCR ending. I thought it best to close out the game with a faction who wants to do good. But then I thought to myself, I really didn't interact with them all that much. While I'd like to align myself with them, at this point in my journey, it feels a little forced. I've played neutral this whole time, so why hop off the fence when I can continue to just climb up? My courier has pretty much acted alone up until this moment, so why change that? It's for that reason, and because I've never actually gone down this path before, that I chose to do the wildcard / yes man ending. Why not try to take over New Vegas for myself and become one of the most powerful figures in the Mojave? It can't be that difficult, right? Well, what I didn't know is that I certainly had my work cut out for me. Arriving at Cottonwood Cove, I approached the Cursor Lucullus and spoke with him.
Awe, are you ready to head upriver? You'll be meeting face to face with the mighty Caesar himself, founder of the Legion, conqueror of 86 tribes. To my knowledge, this is the first time Caesar has ever summoned one of the dissolute to see him. Not even tribal chieftains receive this honor. You'd know better than I would, but you must be remarkable for Caesar to take such an interest. The trip will take a few hours. Take your place on the boat. By order of Caesar, all visitors must disarm and relinquish all banned items. Your belongings will be returned to you when you leave.
I found myself in a pretty vulnerable spot at Fortification Hill. There was no way to go back to Cottonwood Cove, my weapons were confiscated, and fast travel was disabled. The only way out was forward. Going up the hill and entering the camp, the fort was less glorious than I thought it'd be. The Legion was only protected by some steel scrap and a tall vantage point. In most cases, that's enough to repel their foes. However, with what was coming, it wouldn't be good enough. Making my way to the highest point, I gained entry to the Caesar's tent. Walking to the back and scanning the area, I spotted Benny. He had been bound and captured. While this meant he wasn't going anywhere, it also meant that Caesar had the platinum chip.
So I finally get to meet the courier who's accomplished so much in so little time. That's why I summoned you here, right? I mean, a man nearly kills you, and your response is to track him across the breadth of the Mojave? You visit the tops, and next thing you know, the head of the chairman is fleeing the Strip like a whimpering little pup. When you set your mind to something, you get results. I like that. The question is, are you ready to get started? Benny is my prisoner. You don't deal with him unless you've dealt with me. Don't worry. You'll get the platinum chip he was carrying, and then you'll use it like I tell you to. The time is fast approaching when my Legion will assault the Great Dam and invade the West. Before that happens, I want Mr. House knocked out of the game. A quick 1-2 punch, with you doing the punching. Down the hill, at the west edge of camp, is an old building. It was here when the fort was taken in 2277. Inside the building is a hatch. And inside that hatch are 2 steel doors that bear the sigil of the Lucky 38 casino. Now that same sigil is on the platinum chip Benny was carrying when we captured him. Isn't that interesting? Even more interesting, there's a slot about the same size as the chip on the console that opens the hatch. So you know what I think? I think the platinum chip opens those doors. Doors that can't be pried open, or drilled open, or blasted open. Because all that, I tried. I want you to destroy whatever you find in there. And then I want you to come back here and tell me about it. So go to the building and take this fucking platinum chip with you. My legionaries will meet you there, with your weapons and equipment. Talk to Benny on your way out. He knows I'm going to let you decide how he dies. Maybe you want to remind him.
As per Kaiser's request, and for my own peace of mind, I wandered up to Benny and sparked up a chat.
Go ahead and laugh, baby. I ain't blind to the humor in this situation. Didn't leave me much choice when you showed up. Like I said, you forced my hand. Down to brass tacks. How'd your meet and greet with Baldy go? Try not to smile so wide, baby. You might break your mouth. Yeah, Baldy said you'd get to decide. So which way you leaning? Sweet to offer, baby, but if you cut these ropes, every legionary in this camp's gonna come running. With machetes. Now, on the other hand, if I had a stealth boy and a bobby pin, I could see myself out. Know what I mean? No one likes a tease, baby. Sure. Baldy wants you to go down there in the bunker and destroy whatever Mr. House stashed there. Oh, you don't want to do that, baby. Whatever's down in that bunker is the key to the city called Vegas. So here's what you do. You go down there and you use the chip to do whatever Mr. House would have wanted you to do. And when you get back to the strip, you find Yes Man. I made it so that cat can't help but be helpful. Dig?
The last part of the conversation was way more important than I thought it would have been. While the wildcard quest simply says, return to Yes Man, and Kaiser's quest says, destroy Mr. House's bunker, Benny tells me how I can still achieve my independent victory. Follow Mr. House's orders, then book it back to New Vegas. At this point on Fortification Hill, I have the option of returning to Cottonwood Cove. The only thing though is that I need to hand over the platinum chip to the cursor, so I'd pretty much be back where I started. Deciding to trust Benny's words, I made my way back to the camp and entered the weather station.
Kaiser has permitted your weapons to be returned to you while you serve him. Kaiser has put a lot of trust in you. Be worth it.
I had half a mind to blast my way through the weather station and out into the hill, but I knew that wasn't going to work. The Legion had the numbers and the superior firepower. Approaching the weather station console, I inserted the platinum chip and opened the hatch in the floor. As Kaiser suggested, the stairs led me to a set of doors that had the Lucky 38 Casino logo. The first room I went into was small and all the other doors near it were locked. In the center of the room, on a big console, was Mr. House himself.
I do wish you'd come and met with me at the Lucky 38 when you first arrived on the Strip. Or after Benny fled, even. Quite an honor you spurned, my invite. You would be the first person to set foot inside the Lucky 38 in over 200 years. But you still wound up here, right where I wanted you. I knew I could rely on Caesar to return the platinum chip to you. The platinum chip unlocks this bunker. Hence, you have it. Hence, Benny was captured or killed. Possibly by you, but by my estimates, far more probably by Caesar's Legion. Hence, Caesar gave you the chip. Hence, Caesar wants you to destroy whatever you find in this bunker. But that's not going to happen, because you're going to work for me. I need you to manually upload the data from the chip to the facility's primary computer. There's a terminal at the other end of this facility. There's a complication. While I can broadcast to this screen, I can't control any of the facility's systems. That means I can't deactivate its security bots, most of which appear to be active according to the status board I'm looking at. My army will do what an army does best: defend territory from invaders and maintain order. I like to think you have enough sense to do the right thing. The rewards for doing so are immense, as are the punishments for not doing so.
I thought it best to simply nod and agree with Mr. House as opposed to being combative. The main issue though is, what about Kaiser's Legion? I'm expected to blow this place sky high, so what are they going to think if I walk out of here and the bunker is still intact? However, that's a problem for later, as right now there are bigger fish to fry. As put by Mr. House, the place is crawling with protectrons. Honestly, not the trickiest of opponents to face, but it's their stationary companion that gave me a run for my caps. The occasional Mark 6 turret would fire its lasers off and shred through my health. Important to note too, and it's completely my fault, is that at this current moment, I was out of all sorts of health items. I should have bartered with the local traders or sailed back to Cottonwood and then from there to Goodsprings, but I didn't. So every move here had to count. Using the cowboy repeater, I shot my way through the bunker's defenses, and when things got rough, I tossed around a couple of plasma grenades. Finally, I made it to the end of the area and reached the aforementioned Securitron operations console. Inserting the platinum chip, I was able to install the Mark II upgrade software on this battalion of Securitrons. While I didn't know the extent of it, these robots were now more powerful than I could have ever imagined. Fleeing the bunker, I prepared myself for a fight with the Legion. I thought for sure they were either going to be hostile or they weren't going to let me leave until the bunker was destroyed. However, neither of those assumptions were correct.
Your work here is done. Return to the Lucky 38 so we can discuss next steps. You have a very bright future ahead of you. Thanks to your actions today, so does the rest of mankind.
You've carried out Caesar's will, but I must confiscate your equipment again. You're free to leave.
I suppose the Legion doesn't know the difference between destroying the bunker's contents and upgrading them. Either way, one of the quest prompts was to return to Kaiser, but I knew better than that. I was lucky enough to have gotten out of the weather station. I won't throw that away by confronting the man who made me go in there. Continuing to press my luck, I wanted to see if I could leave Fortification Hill with the chip still on my person. To my delight, I was able to. Sailing across the river with the cursor, we docked and I checked my inventory. The chip was there. That meant I was clear to proceed with my independent questline. Returning to New Vegas, I spotted Yes Man out on the street and spoke with him.
Don't you just love that platinum chip? Buzzes with power and possibilities, doesn't it? If I were you, I'd almost want to deliver the chip to Mr. House, just to learn all its tricks. That is, unless you want to bring the NCR or Caesar's Legion to power, I wouldn't want to tell you what to do. It makes me feel really dumb to admit this, but I don't actually know. I've never been inside the Lucky 38. No one has. Mr. House is in there, though. It's the central node of his entire network. Wow. Do you have any idea how special that is? Red carpet treatment. Seems a little mean to use his invitation against him like that, but I'm sure it's all for the best. I mean, Benny was always scheming about how he was going to get into the Lucky 38, but you already took care of that. Wow. The other thing you're going to need is the platinum chip. You know, the one Benny killed a courier for over near Goodsprings. Of course you do. Sorry about that. And it's wonderful that you do. The platinum chip is the key to overriding and exploiting Mr. House's defenses. Did I just say exploiting? That's not a very nice word. Really, an army of Securitrons, upgraded no less. What a development. An army like that should be enough to defend Vegas from, I'm gonna say, anybody.
As pointed out by Yes Man and the wildcard Change in Management quest, my next objective is to destroy Mr. House. This is obviously something that's easier said than done. Waiting outside of the Lucky 38 casino was Victor himself. While for my playthrough it's not explicitly stated, Victor is working for Mr. House. I mean, of course he is. He's a Securitron which was created by House. But through dialogue and general problem solving, it doesn't take much to see that Victor was spying on the courier. Essentially, He made sure that the player made it to New Vegas and visited Mr. House. While the creator got his wish, he's got another thing coming. Entering the penthouse, there are a couple of different things to do up here. The first one I tried was talking to House's console. However, this locks me into a conversation that I can't quite get out of. House wants the platinum chip handed over and won't take no for an answer. Refusing the request results in an attack from the securitrons. However, this outcome isn't that different from the scenario that I had to go through. Accessing one of the terminals, I opened the nearby antechamber. This process took a bit of time, and I found myself evading the local security. It also cemented the end of the Mr. House questline, showing that I failed the quest, The House Always Wins Part 1. After a little bit of time and a lot of running away, I made it into the antechamber and unlocked the next set of doors. Hurrying inside, there were no securitrons, protectrons, or any defenses for that matter. The area comprised of some rusty rafters, as well as a couple of machines. Approaching a third terminal inside, the only command on there was to unseal the LS chamber. I confirmed with how I wanted to proceed, and in a matter of moments, Mr. House's true form was exposed.
Why have you done this? Centuries of preparation. So much good undone. If personal gain, what you sought, should have done as asked. May there be a hell for you, a Tartarus, bleak, unending.
Taking out my cowboy repeater, I fired a couple of rounds into the frail old man's body. With his death, that's one of the 3 big players down for the count. While Mr. House had shown signs of corruption, he wasn't really the worst of the 3 by any means. The Legion and the NCR would sooner tear apart the wasteland than relinquish control of the Hoover Dam. That'll be the fight of the decade, but for now, it's best that I celebrate this small victory. Leaving the control room, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. If the securitrons were still aggressive, that would have been the end of me. To my relief, they were passive and without command. Hunks of metal waiting for their orders. Rushing back out to the strip, I sought out Yes Man and continued with the wildcard plan.
Oh! Hi again! Can I help you with something else? You already took care of Mr. House? Wow, you work fast. Mr. House is out of the picture and you have the platinum chip? Wonderful. Let's go.
Together, myself and Yes Man made our way to the Lucky 38 penthouse. What happened next was a true demonstration in the shift of power. It cemented my start as New Vegas's new overlord.
Hi! This is big, huh? A very big moment. Here goes. I'll just take that platinum chip off your hands. Thanks. Wish me luck. See you soon. Wow. Mr. House had quite a setup here. I can access his databanks and view telemetry on every securotron on the network. Wait. So, that's what the platinum chip does. Interesting. Mr. House had a whole demonstration planned for you. Just head downstairs to the lowest level to check it out. You'll see.
Step closer to the demonstration area, please. Okay, so you're familiar with securitrons by now, obviously. I mean, some of your best friends are securitrons, right? Our titanium alloy housing does a good job for protecting our delicate electronic insides from small arms fire and shrapnel. Our left arm contains an X-25 Gatling laser, quite deadly against off-target medium range. That looks like fun. And for close-range suppression and crowd control, we have this handy-dandy 9mm submachine gun. Nice. All of this is old hat, right? It's where it gets interesting. Turns out that those are our secondary weapons.
action. Now watch this. I'm downloading the Mark II OS to all securitrons on the network. It makes quite a difference. With the M235 missile launcher, we can engage ground and air targets. And a rapid fire that makes us deadly in close range engagements. Woo! Look at that! The OS upgrade also includes drivers for our onboard auto repair systems. Just try to hurt us now. Altogether, this software upgrade confers a 235% increase in combat effectiveness per unit. New Vegas finally has soldiers worthy of protecting it. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. You can come back up and see me or be on your way. I know you're a busy person.
As I return to the penthouse, I notice some new quests pop up in my log. Don't tread on the bear and beware the wrath of Kaiser. These are warning missions, essentially telling me that further work with Yes Man will result in each faction turning their back on me. It sort of acts as the final straw for cementing my ending for Fallout New Vegas.
An entire army of upgraded securitrons just standing by over at the fort. Pretty neat, huh? There's a bunch. Some of them you've already met, like the chairman, for instance. I think you should visit the other families on this strip, the Omertas and the White Glove Society, so you know what makes them tick. And there are some important groups farther from the strip, too, like the Boomers, the Great Khans, and the Brotherhood of Steel.
Before heading into the endgame, Yes Man suggests that I poke around and get to know the local factions. This is the game's way of saying, hey, there's a bunch of cool quests still, and you're almost at the point of no return. For the sake of the video, I won't be going over those quests, but I will briefly explain each faction and what they stand for. On the Vegas Strip, there are two local groups, the Omertas and the White Gloves. The former run the Gomorrah Casino. The Omertas are a group of gangsters, thugs, and conmen. According to the wiki, they really only care about furthering their own position of power. They'll do whatever it takes to become the top dogs on the strip. Murder, robbery, prostitution, extortion, you name it. They started out as a tribe of vault dwellers and slowly made a name for themselves with Mr. House. While they only have one quest for the player, how little we know, it's quite the lengthy and complex mission. Next up is the White Glove Society. They run the Ultra Lux Casino and make for the third big family on the strip. The White Gloves are a little unsettling. They wear masks, don formal attire, and are well-mannered, a far cry off from the other factions on the strip. The Gloves were also a vault-dwelling tribe. However, they gave up that life, along with their cannibalistic traits when they signed on with Mr. House. Although, through the various side quests and interactions, you can see that old habits die hard. Or rather, old habits are easier to come by when you have power. Through the White Gloves, the player has access to the Beyond the Beef quest, which again is enticing and quite the thrill. From here, we leave the strip and find the other three factions. The Brotherhood of Steel, a major player in Fallout 3, seemingly has a really small presence in the Mojave. The Titan who conquered DC is but a shell of its grand self in New Vegas. While they sort of feel like the Wasteland's protectors, their actual purpose is to collect and preserve technology. The ultimate goal is to keep humanity in check and prevent any further man-made disasters. They have a bunker in Hidden Valley, and upon stumbling across it, the Brotherhood confronts the player. The interaction doesn't go over very well. They're paranoid, aggressive, and demanding. After meeting with their elder, he gives you an ultimatum. Drive a lone NCR Ranger from the valley by whatever means necessary, or get blown up by an explosive collar. Not everything is as it seems though, and it opens a can of worms for alternate endings. The second last faction is the Boomers. They probably have one of the more interesting introductions. Running northeast out of Vegas, you'll come across a lone NPC. He warns you that the road ahead is dangerous, as it's Boomer territory. After some back and forth, and even a small wager, he gives you advice on how to get across the field. Booking it through the Mojave and surviving an onslaught of missiles and explosives, you'll eventually make it to the fence of the Nellis Air Force Base. There, you speak with various Boomers, including Raquel and their leader, Mother Pearl. This faction is also paranoid and closed off. However, Mother Pearl believes that the courier surviving the bombs is a sign of change. After leaving Fault 34, which was apparently filled to the brim with weapons, they set up their new base at Fort Nellis and obliterated any trespassers. Through Mother Pearl, the player can perform various quests and acts for the faction that helps to gain their trust. The final faction that Yes Man wanted me to check out were the Great Khans. I've sort of been introduced to this gang before, but it wasn't really under the greatest of terms. They helped Benny in shooting my character and taking the chip. After the Boulder City showdown and the part I played in their demise, I thought for sure they'd attack on sight. However, I was wrong. The Great Khans are located in Red Rock, which for the record, wasn't the easiest place to get to. The canyon walls are tall and the enemies there are pretty rough. Upon reaching their encampment, I went inside and spoke with their leader, Papa Khan. He talked about the tribe's trials and tribulations. They've been kicked around, beaten, and battered at every turn. What started as an exodus from New California, an attempt at a new life, ended up just being a continuation of the war. Don't get me wrong, the Great Khans don't claim to be good and wholesome. They're an organized group of raiders. They run drugs, raid NCR camps, and are constantly getting into trouble, as seen with Benny in the Courier. They clash with the other tribes and factions, and simply just want their slice of the pie. They too have various quests and deeds that the player can perform. For the wildcard side bets quest, Yes Man wants the Courier to interact with each tribe. That's all it takes though, is a simple meet and greet. After deciding their fates, either via their own quests or through the Yes Man, the quest comes to a close. Again, it's a good way for the player to see what's out there and to play through the various stories of New Vegas. How you interact with each major and minor faction will have an impact on the game's ending.
That accounts for all the tribes you needed to get to know. You did a super job wrapping things up, and I'm not just saying that because I have to. Here's some big news. I decoded a military radio transmission, and it turns out the NCR president, Aaron Kimball, is going to visit Hoover Dam. I guess he wants to boost the troops' morale, but according to projections Mr. House made, he has an 83.75% chance of being assassinated. Whoops. Anyway, it looks like Mr. House thought it was important to keep President Kimball alive. Mr. House ran projections on how the NCR public will react to a defeat at Hoover Dam. Overwhelmingly, they'll blame Kimball. But if Kimball dies at Hoover Dam, there's no obvious scapegoat for them to blame, so they'll blame New Vegas instead. So that means reduced tourism for up to 5 years. The equations are pretty complicated. Mr. House sure liked numbers. Fine by me. We've got more important things to take care of. This gadget I'm handing you is called an override module. Mr. House had 2 of these made years and years ago. Just like him to think ahead. Take the module to the El Dorado substation and attach it to the power control terminal. I'll handle the rest. I'll use the substation to send a huge jolt of electricity to the Lucky 38. Turns out this casino has its own reactor. All it needs is a jump start. With the reactor running at full tilt, I can boost the transmission strength of the Lucky 38's command and control network. I'm talking direct tactical control of hundreds of upgraded securitrons at vast distances. You know that's gonna come in handy. Great! When this is taken care of, we'll be all set for the Legion to make its move.
Unfortunately, due to my standings with the NCR, I wasn't able to receive the quest. You'll know it when it happens. This quest is actually pretty fun and entertaining. Yes Man put it best. The goal is to stop Aaron Kimball's assassination. For this one, the player heads to Hoover Dam and investigates the area. Through observations, general dialogue, and some common sense, they can pick up on various clues as to who the assassins are. While Kimball is giving his speech, 3 attempts are made on his life. A bomb on the vertibird, a sniper disguised as a ranger, and an engineer with a knife. Again, in the future, if I do a video on all the factions and their endings, I'd love to play through it. But for now, with my Yes Man playthrough, it's a failed quest. This just means that Kimball gets assassinated and the game's ending is affected. From the El Dorado gas station, the El Dorado substation is a brief walk to the northwest. It's currently guarded by a battalion of NCR Rangers. Nearing the access points, the Rangers run over and warn me not to go inside. Ignoring their requests, I was able to slip in with no problems and access the terminal. Placing the override chip inside, I diverted the power to the Lucky 38. As Yes Man himself put it, this would help to increase the Securitron's range and power across the wasteland, something that will definitely come in handy for the next quest. Returning to the strip and entering the casino, I reported my success to Yes Man.
Don't you love seeing the Lucky 38 all lit up? Sign of things to come. Too bad about President Kimball and everything. But hey, stuff happens, right? Exciting news! The Legion's massing troops in a staging area east of the dam. Attack imminent! Monster of the East ready to roll! Great! So I've been looking over Mr. House's force projections and running some calculations. It turns out there are 2 ways we can win this thing. Hear that? We have options! You could route the dam's power output to the facility under Fortification Hill. That'll restart its reactor, just like you did with the Lucky 38. That'll wake up the Securitron army you left on standby and give us enough force to push the Legion and the NCR straight out of the Mojave. The other option is destroy the dam's generators. Without those, it's just a big bunch of concrete. The NCR won't have any reason to stick around. You don't have to decide yet. For now, all you have to do is take this override module and install it on the terminal in the power control room. Good luck. See you at the dam.
This is officially the point of no return. My fight for an independent Vegas at the Battle of Hoover Dam. As the game puts it, this will determine the fate of Vegas for decades to come. The game warns me that once I'm over there, there's no coming back. It's my last chance to do any side quests, explore the Mojave, or buy equipment. If I was smart, I would have at least done the third option, but because I'm not, that's going to come back and haunt me. Arriving at the dam, things are already popping off. I have one singular Securitron as my companion. The NCR are trying their best at holding back the Legion, but it's not going so well. Pocket factions of the Great Khans have set up on the dam, and the Legion are closing in. The first portion of the battle wasn't super tricky. Letting the NCR take the heat, my Securitron closed in with its superior firepower. Together, we were able to eliminate the Great Khan warriors. However, they were just the start of the problem. The Legion began sending in Centurions and Prime Legionnaires. Up close, the former would swing around their super sledges, which wasn't the worst, but from afar they'd fire off their hunting rifles. When those bullets hit, they'd shred through my HP. Same thing goes for the Prime Legionaries. Their melee weapon of choice was a combat knife, but the hunting rifles were different beasts altogether. Slowly and methodically, I made my way across the Hoover Dam. Not long into the crawl, my Securitron and the surrounding NCR Rangers were down for the count, leaving the rest of this quest up to me. It's pretty fitting though, as it is the independent ending. Along the way, I came across some pretty good gear upgrades. New outfits and weapons like the sniper rifle and the anti-material rifle. These guns would end up being my saving grace for what was to come. After clearing the immediate area and evading some Legionnaire backup, I managed to gain entry to the Eastern Tower. Through the tower, I descended to the Hoover Dam offices. Here, the NCR had a pretty strong foothold. They were the dominant faction here, but the Legion was giving it their all. Corpses littered the ground, showing that the fight was everywhere. Making my way to the back rooms, I stumbled across some heavy troopers who were guarding the control box.
Stop right there. No one is allowed into the control room. You shouldn't be here. All right, but make it quick.
Accessing the control box room, I ran over to the console and installed the override chip. This allowed Yes Man to come through the computer.
Hi! Nice to see you again. So, we can blow up the dam's generators, or I could route the dam's entire power output to the fort. That'll activate a certain army of Securitrons and set them loose to ravage the Legion. What do you say? Yes! This is gonna be fun! I'm unlocking the East Power Plant. hit the manual switch, then go topside and deal with the Legion and NCR.
For the two options, destroy the dam or unleash a robot army, I obviously had to choose the latter. Not only because of how cool and interesting it sounds, but also because it seems like the easier road. With a powered down dam, my securitrons won't help me take down the Legion, and neither will the NCR. However, with the robot army at my side, all factions are still involved with this war. I'll get as much help as I can with the Legion, then after I can turn my attention toward the NCR. Turning on the East Power electrical switch, the plant powers up and my army comes to life. Exiting back out to the dam, my robots have already begun to wreak havoc. Caesar's encampment on Fortification Hill is lit up like a Christmas tree. It only took 2 securitrons to completely raze Caesar's camp. The rest of the army was focused on eliminating the remaining Legion troops. It was most definitely a lost effort on their part. While the Legion showed valor and chose not to give up, they stood no chance against the Mark II robots. After my independent army removed the last few Legionnaires from the dam, it was time to make my way into the Legate's camp, aka the crux of this entire playthrough. None of the securitrons nor remaining NCR Rangers followed me into the camp. I went solo on this one. For the most part, I faced off against the Praetorian Guards, a subgroup of Legionnaires. They came charging in with ballistic fists. So long as I kept the fight distanced, they weren't any trouble. What I didn't realize at the time though is that after walking into the walled off area, my escape was closed off. A wall had been erected along the pathway and there wasn't any way to leave. This was fine until it came time to battle against the final boss himself, Legate Lanius.
And who are you to come before me? You bear the insignia of the bear, yet you do not wear it as a soldier of the West wears it. Caesar's will is made truth through me. I am a hammer against all that defy his rule. If you seek to stand against me, you shall fall as the West falls. I see you fight with words, like all beneath the flag of the bear. Let us hope your skill with weapons proves greater. For the Legion.
Lanius looks like he belongs in Skyrim's Imperial Legion. The Legate dons a full set of what's almost dwarven armor, and he fights using what looks like a two-handed claymore. The weapon is actually called the Blade of the East, and this thing absolutely ruined me. Each hit melted through my health, decreasing my HP by about a quarter and dealing severe damage to my limbs. If it wasn't the Legate killing my courier over and over, it was the reinforcements of Prime Legionnaires and Praetorian Guards. Let's just say I found myself stuck in the Legate's camp for quite some time, around 45 minutes or so to be exact. I tried all sorts of different ways to approach this fight. I went for the direct approach. I took pot shots at the Legate and drew him out. I tried to keep him wedged in the environment while I took out the other assailants. At a distance, Lanius puts away the Blade of the East and starts chucking explosives. Those were arguably way more dangerous than the melee damage and did a greater number on my character. I tried to disarm the Legate by shooting at his weapon as well as his hands, but it was to no avail. At this point in the fight, I truly felt like I was trapped. I was low on ammunition, and I had zero supply of Stimpaks or Sunset Sarsaparillas. Nothing I tried seemed to work, and I started to wonder if this was it. Was this where I'd get soft-locked out of completing the game? With little to no options left, I remembered the one thing that could actually get me through this fight. I'm not 100% proud of it, but when it came down to either this method or pulling out my hair, I was all for it. I ended up lowering the game's difficulty from normal to very easy. This way, the Legate and his lackeys couldn't hit me for as much damage, and my attacks went a longer way. Even with this method, it still took me a handful of tries to defeat the Legate. The fight was a lot closer than I thought it'd be, and the Legionnaire backup was a real pain. Once more, once Lanius' health would get really low, he'd bolt away from the fight. He was a pretty fast guy too, meaning that without VATS, I wasn't able to hit him. However, after a long game of tag and a bunch of missed shots, the Legate was down for the count. From here, the last thing I needed to do was reach the exit. As the Legionnaires descended upon me, firing all they had left, I hobbled across the battlefield. My fingers were crossed that I'd make it to the other side in one piece.
Caesar on the cross. Been a long time since I've seen the kind of work you've laid down today. A damn long time. And the screams of those Legion bastards as they kick dirt running east like a choir of angels to my ears. Speaking of, that crazy light show over the fort? What the fuck was that? Some kind of thumb of God you called down? Amazing. Fucking amazing. Could use 100 of you. Just scatter you over the east like jacks. Give those plum fucks the what for. And, well, these boys with you? Hello there, Smiley. Guess it ain't no secret how you, I say, can you ask them to put their weapons down? Was just reaching in my coat to give you a cigar. I would sooner spit on the grave of my dead mother than let some courier walk the wasteland fuck talk to me like that. Who the hell do you think you are? Looking to cash your chips to the sound of NCR bullets, huh? I can oblige. Look, I know you're riding high right now, but let me tell you, you ain't pissing on me right now. You're pissing on the bear. You've been far enough west, I'm guessing, to know how far that claw stretches. Fuck with the bear and... You want me to make tracks out of here? Head back west? Tail between our legs? No. I came for a fight today. And if you're looking to make me budge, you better have a damn good left hook or I'm not going anywhere. Figured as much. Come on, you sons of bitches, we're ready.
In my current crippled condition, I hobbled behind my securitrons and let them deal with the remaining NCR force. A few stray bullets flew past the robots, but not enough to impact my health. In a matter of moments, the gunshots, laser beams, and sounds of frying flesh were halted. Poking past the securitrons, General Oliver and his platoon were wasted, putting an end to the Hoover Dam War.
You did a super job wrapping things up, and I'm not just saying that because I have to. I didn't want to make a big deal about this until after we won, but, well, I found some code snippets in one of Mr. House's databanks that will let me, reprogram my personality to be a little more assertive, basically. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and it's going to take me a while, so it'll seem like I'm offline. But don't worry, everything will be okay. I've updated the Securitrons' targeting parameters, so they know what to do. Vegas will be protected. So that's where I'll be, off making a few changes. And I guess I'll see you around. We accomplished a lot together. It was fun. Take care.
And so the courier who had cheated death in the cemetery outside Good Springs cheated death once again, and the Mojave Wasteland was forever changed. The courier, with the aid of Yes Man, drove both the Legion and the NCR from Hoover Dam, securing New Vegas's independence from both factions. With Mr. House out of the picture, part of the Securitron army was diverted to the Strip to keep order. Any chaos on the streets was ended. Quickly. Chaos became uncertainty, then acceptance with minimal loss of life. New Vegas assumed its position as an independent power in the Mojave. Supporting the ideals of independence, the courier was recognized as the man responsible for a truly free New Vegas. He ensured Mr. House's tyranny was broken, and neither Caesar's Legion nor NCR would ever gain control over New Vegas.
With little law left in the wasteland, the Brooms continued to defend themselves against the prospectors and scavengers invading their territory.
After the courier ensured New Vegas remained free, the followers found that independent Vegas was even more unstable and violent than before. Old Mormon Fort became excessively burdened by the influx of patients, struggling to provide even the most basic of services.
With New Vegas's independence formally declared, Good Springs thrived. More travelers stopped by Good Springs on their way to and from the Strip, and the locals grew prosperous from the traffic.
The Kings retained their control of Freeside, and while they continued to favor the needs of locals, they tolerated the citizens of the defeated NCR.
Though Novak was a low-priority target for the Legion, many of Novak's citizens died in its defense. In the weeks that followed, several bright followers returned to Novak to help restore its defenses, allowing it to remain independent of NCR.
Armed with a wide array of improvised explosives and stolen weapons, the Vault 19 Powder Gang tormented the Mojave Wasteland for years. Citizens of the NCR were favorite targets, and they always suffered the worst fates.
And so the Courier's road came to an end, for now. In the new world of the Mojave Wasteland, fighting continued, blood was spilled, and many lived and died just as they had in the old world. Because war never changes.
With that, thus ends my story through Fallout New Vegas' main questline. As you can see from the ending, there's a lot more to the game's universe than what we got to see from this playthrough. We got to see the outcomes for factions like the Kings and the Followers, while the Great Khans and the Brotherhood of Steel were nowhere to be found. We heard from cities like Novak and Goodsprings, while others were left to the wayside. We heard about New Vegas, but we didn't see the final outcomes for both the NCR and the Legion. That's one of the many reasons why Fallout New Vegas is so beloved by the fans. The player's actions and choices really do have an effect on the story's ending. In so many other games, we're promised multiple endings, and the delivery is usually not what we expected. However, New Vegas is exactly that. There are 4 main endings, and depending on which factions and cities you influenced or tore down, the subplot endings change. It's extremely complex, and your game's outcome can always be different, even if it's just the slightest tweaking. To be honest, that's why it's pretty difficult to make a video about the story of New Vegas' main questline. The main quest changes depending on which faction you side with. A lot of events change too depending on your actions during the startup of the game. For the most part, your path through the beginning of the questline will always be the same. A courier who's looking for revenge. You track down Benny, adventure to the Mojave's most notable cities, and end up at the Tops Casino. From there, the questline gets broken down into branches. Depending on your affiliations with each major faction, you get to decide who you side with. Again, from my perspective, I just thought the independent ending was the most fitting. I was already working alone, so why force myself to take sides? Originally, I was leaning towards an NCR ending. For the most part, it's up there as a morally righteous pathway. If you want your character to align themselves with good ideals, the NCR might be the best route. Shortly after though, I flirted with the idea of supporting the Legion. It would have been an interesting way to go about the playthrough, and it's an ending I had never experienced before. However, for me personally, I thought turning completely evil and morally corrupt would have been a little left field for my character. Now, there's a good chance that the Mr. House playthrough would have been up there as my best bet. While House has questionable morals, for the most part, he's only concerned with New Vegas' independence. He's essentially just trying to build his own pathway, even if that means undermining the other factions. I feel like money and power have never really been at the forefront for my character, and pursuing Mr. House's ending would have been a great way to keep his career ideals going. He's always been a character that performs for others, and hardly takes for himself. However, I never really interacted with House that much, and again, just felt like it was a bit of a forced move. So ultimately, I wanted to go through with the wildcard ending. Plus, I had never seen that outcome before. In the future, I'd love to do a video regarding all of the possible endings for New Vegas, not only to tack onto the series, but also for myself to experience. Now, to close out the video, I wanted to compare some of New Vegas' elements to Fallout 3's. It's no secret that there are some quality of life changes from Obsidian Entertainment. For example, aiming down sights, as well as a shorter intro. But what about the story? To be honest with you, I actually prefer Fallout 3's story to New Vegas's. I know a lot of people love New Vegas and hold it dear to their hearts. I really enjoy the game as well. But personally, there's something about the Capital Wasteland that captivates me more than the Mojave. The DC area feels fuller, while Nevada is mostly desert. Of course, that would be the case, and depending on what you want from your experience, they offer different environments. Maybe I just prefer the jam-packed cityscape, always something around the corner atmosphere over the barren deserts, and it's not really something I can fault New Vegas for. It's just simply how the game was designed and how it was made different from Fallout 3. Moving on, while comparing the two games, there's something magical about seeing a vault dweller, someone who's been isolated their entire life, step foot into the wasteland. The whole world is grand and full of new experiences for your character. You encounter new creatures, cities, and people. Meanwhile, with Vegas's courier angle, who really knows what your character has been through or knows about? It makes you wonder if there's anyone in the Mojave Wasteland who should have or could have recognized the player. I get there's sort of an amnesia aspect to the story, shot in the head, didn't really remember much, but it's clear that you had a life before all of that, and it's never really quite touched upon what you would have gotten up to. Then of course, you have the story itself. In 3, you chase your father through the wasteland. Along the way, you discover new settlements, enemies, and factions. In New Vegas, it's a similar concept, except you're chasing Benny. By the end of 3, you're working with the Brotherhood to purify DC's waters. You don't really get much of a choice for who you side with, and I think that's where it lost points with a lot of players. You're forced to fight against the Enclave while siding with the Brotherhood of Steel. If you want to actually beat the game, you don't have much of an option. However, in New Vegas, the world is your oyster. You can side with the good guys, the bad guys, the mysterious guy, or run the show yourself. Along the way, you create your own destiny by influencing other factions around the wasteland. In terms of storytelling, it breaks away from Fallout 3's linear pathway and offers a variety of main endings. This gives the player a whole lot more control over their playthrough and plenty of reason to run through the game more than once. For those reasons, I can understand why fans would put New Vegas ahead of 3. However, for me personally, I never felt that attached or interested in New Vegas's main story. I never really cared for the Mojave's battle for power. Locating Benny and securing the platinum chip was fine, but from there, I always struggled with picking sides. I usually chose the NCR, as they're the good guys, but I never felt overwhelmed or won over by their mission in Nevada. I never cared for Mr. House's upgraded New Vegas either. I didn't want power or felt the need to control the strip. Since Kaiser's Legion was bad, I usually wouldn't side with them and found them to be an easy enemy, but that hatred was never strong enough to push me towards the NCR. While the game is extremely fun, for me personally, I found the simplicity in Fallout 3's storytelling more appealing. You're just a young vault dweller looking for your dad. Along the way, you get tied up in his research and get caught up with the warring factions. Because of that, the game steers you in a certain direction. But at the center of it all, you're trying to find the one man who means a lot to your character. I think if New Vegas took a similar approach and forced the player to work with the NCR, the Legion, and Mr. House at some point, while looking for Benny, I'd feel differently about picking sides. However, with what we got, it's good enough. Again, these are just all my opinions. I understand that some of you may really like how New Vegas allowed for the courier to stay completely neutral up until it mattered. I understand that the barren Mojave feels more like a wasteland than DC ever did. I also understand that Obsidian tried to make something completely independent from Fallout 3, and on that, they did an amazing job. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like as well as subscribing. Members, I really appreciate all of your support. Until next time, keep on adventuring.